Developing Tomorrow's Leaders is a podcast that is all about educating, supporting, and inspiring the next generation of leaders. Your host, Antoine Thompson, or Coach T, has over 35 years' experience of educating, supporting, inspiring, and enhancing the lives of many young men and women. Join him as he talks with business owners, educators, coaches, athletes, and others when they share their insight, experience, and passion for developing tomorrow's leaders. In this episode, Coach T talks with Patrick Johnson and Katarina Miletic, the founders of Rimpage.
Welcome to another episode of Developing Tomorrow's Leaders. I am your host, Coach T, or Antoine Thompson is my real name, but I go by Coach T. And I am super delighted today because I have a couple guests on today. Anytime I get to talk about sport of basketball, my whole body lights up and my heart just starts pounding. But more importantly, it's what this organization can do beyond the sport of basketball, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. So please help me welcome Patrick Johnson and Katarina Miletic to Developing Tomorrow's Leaders. How are you two doing today?
Superb. Thank you.
Thank you for having me here.
Oh, my absolute pleasure to have you on. And obviously, the first question any and everybody's going to ask is, how are you changing the world?
Good question.
And it's a question I love. What's happening is Rimpage is removing the gatekeepers who suppress talent all over the world. The current statistic is only 3 out of every 10,000 athletes get an opportunity to play in the NBA. And so you have hundreds of thousands of children all over the world who grow up watching their favorite players, dreaming of when they will get the opportunity to do what their favorite players do, only to realize that only 3 out of every 10,000 will ever get that opportunity. So you can imagine what will happen in the world of basketball when a league like Rimpage comes along and says, now everyone, 100% of you now have an opportunity to live that dream. That's how we're changing the world. And that's just the stone being thrown in the water. There's the ripples that come from that as well.
Now, that's what I want to hear about. Now, Katarina, how are you changing the world as part of Rimpage?
I like the empowerment part of Rimpage. So while I love basketball as a sport, I see it as a vehicle into real life, because sports career lasts a certain number of years. And I like to see young people develop into complete human beings who are going to enjoy life on every level and who are going to challenge themselves beyond the basketball court, beyond the age that they can professionally be involved in sports. So that gets me really excited, is that empowerment element of Rimpage and that opportunity to connect with the best version of ourselves.
Oh, we're only like 3 minutes into this thing and I got goosebumps already. This is great. And you know why I love that so much, Katarina, and both you too, Patrick, the empowerment part. You know, in all my years of coaching, that is exactly what I do with when you're coaching. You empower players from day one. So by the end of your season, they take total control of their success and their journey. And that's what, with Rimpage, what I'm hearing is every player gets to write their own story, and they get to create their own career. And that career can last as long as they want. It's not just a limited amount of time, correct?
That's it. Can I say something about the story part? The
Absolutely.
word Rimpage has first the rim, which is a reference to basketball, and then the page, which is a reference to stories, because stories have pages. And so what Rimpage means is stories about basketball players. When you join this league, you start your story with us, and we will follow you throughout your career.
And beyond.
And beyond.
And beyond. Yeah. Your career isn't just basketball player. Your career can then be a business person who is connected with the sport of basketball. It can be a coach. It can be something in another capacity where you want to contribute to this bigger mission that Rimpage is. So it connects all of us. And then it connects people like video editors and creative, which is my kind of people, you know. So everyone is on board with Rimpage. Everyone wins.
Yeah. Well, That's a great lead into talking about the process of players signing up, because there's so
Mhm.
many variables after that component that I want us to talk about. So if you wouldn't mind, Patrick, just kind of walk us through that whole process from beginning when players sign up and kind of what the process is for them to compete.
Yes, absolutely. It's so easy that it kind of catches people off guard. All you have to do is go to rimpage.club. On that page, the only thing you can do is click sign up. That's the only thing you can do. Click that, and you become a Rimpage Club member. After that, you get a profile page, and that profile page will hold your stats and your rankings and your ratings and your other achievements on Rimpage. It'll show your match history and your upcoming matches as well. So every player will have that. And now you get to have a different conversation as a player where someone is curious about you as a player. You can just say, go to my rim page, and they'll see everything about you. It's kind of like a resume, your basketball resume. So you get that established, and then comes the matches. You have complete control over your matches. We don't hand you a schedule of 82 games and say, you're going to play this person at this time at this place. You have all of the players in the league in your city, and you can choose who you want to play against. So the two of you agree on a date, time, and location for your match. You arrive at that location, you film the match and send the video into Rimpage, and that's how you certify your match results. Only certified matches get awarded ratings points, and that's what you're playing for. Each time you win a match, you get a certain number of ratings points that corresponds to the difficulty level of your opponent. So you get more points for beating tougher opponents. You get fewer points for beating easier opponents. And once you receive a certain number of ratings points, then you promote to the next class. And so you can go ever higher and higher in Rimpage with those classes.
Okay, now look, I want everybody that's listening to this to lean in, because this next question is going to make everybody go, what? What is the ultimate goal of Rimpage?
And I was hoping you would ask that question, because what we do in the regular season with players just choosing different opponents and playing those matches all has a purpose and a meaning. Everything you do on Rimpage has a purpose and a meaning. And that's sort of what sets us apart from other leagues. Every match counts towards your eligibility to get into the postseason. And that's where you compete for your city's championship. You want to be a city champion because now you get to get into the state tournament where you compete for the state championship. And then state champions compete in the national tournament for the national championship. And when we have 200 national champions, we will put them head to head in a competition called the Lions Tournament. That's the ultimate mission of Rimpage, is to find out who is the one indisputed best basketball player in the world. And we find it systematically, one city at a time, one state at a time, one country at a time.
Now, for those that not watching this, I'm sitting here looking at these two people. I've never seen two people more excited about what they do. You guys have been smiling from the time we started. And the reason I point that out, when you find something that you're absolutely passionate about and it drives you and it fuels everything that you do, people want to hear more. And that's why, you say I'm asking great questions. I really want to know. I do know generally, but I love hearing you both talk about it, because you just exude so much passion and so much joy when you talk about it. And I think it's a phenomenal concept. And I think it truly is going to change not only the sport, but also change a lot of lives. And it's going to give a lot of young people a different outlook on how their futures are going to be. And that's what I'm going to ask you, Katarina. What is the part of it that excites you the most, beyond obviously the competitive aspect of the game?
It's that possibility, and actually that possibility married with the opportunity that Rimpage brings. So we all know that we have a potential inside ourselves. So connecting with that thing that we are most passionate about, as you are saying, knowing that you actually have the opportunity, you have a stage you can take that possibility to wherever you want to go. You don't have to wait for someone else to pick you. You decide. So you don't have a coach. You don't have someone else calling how far you can go. You can push yourself as far as you can take your talent. So I'm not saying that everybody can be that world number one, but to take that possibility away from young people is it's ended up in the world as it is today. We have too many of us with crushed dreams. So we want to open up that possibility, give them the opportunity, and let's see what happens. And then the healthy dose of competition,
Yes.
when you were a guest on my This Is Your Moment conversation platform, which is like a podcast. You know what happened? It's because you said your interview with Patrick is the best interview you that made me want to produce the better experience for you, Anton. I want a better experience. And then I invited Patrick so that both of us can interview you in hope that we can up that game from the last time. And that is, to me, that's the point of life. Am I bringing the better game, the better me, the better version of me today than I was yesterday? And Rimpage gives me that opportunity. There's no limit, truly.
Can I add something to what she said there? It's
Absolutely.
this is a very practical way to instantly see the value of Rimpage. We're all in different cities right now. The best player in your city is already there. That person is already playing ball, but do you know who that person is? The best person in any city is already there playing ball, but do we know who that person is? We don't know, and that's because there is no league that has as its mission to go out and find them. I personally believe that person deserves a stage. That person deserves an audience. That person deserves a reward and recognition for their talent. That's who we're going after. We're going after those superstars who don't have a stage. And so we set a huge stage worldwide. We turn on the lights, we turn on the camera, we open it up to everyone and say, come show the world what you can do.
Yes.
One of our newest players, Marcus Billiard, represents the city of Dallas here. And when I interviewed him, he told me about something peculiar that he does and it's the first time I've heard it. He said after he plays an opponent, he'll ask them, how did I do? What's your assessment of my game? What do you think I need to work on? What are my strengths? And I thought that was unusual. And so we played our first matches. He played his first matches on Rimpage this past weekend. And on the way home, he asked me, so how did I do? he said, what do you think are some things that I could work on? And I told him, but that's the opportunity you have with Rimpage. You might not play so well today, but there's video. You can go back and watch the video and you can say, okay, I'll work on this. His thing was he wanted to develop a 3-point shot. He says on Rimpage, I see you got to be able to shoot the ball from deep. So he works on that. And then maybe the next time it's defense, maybe the next time it's ball handling. But you have that opportunity with Rimpage with repeated matches to get better and better and better.
Yeah, no, I'm loving every aspect of this concept, and you all have tapped into something that is going to be huge, and I think in short time, not in a long time. And I think getting the opportunity to have you on here to share it, I think is really important.
Anton, the world is hungry for this. The world has been waiting for this, and Rimpage doesn't take you away from your environment. Rimpage comes to you. Right. So these kids who are in underdeveloped countries who have desire to play basketball and who have talent to play it and don't have the opportunity, they get the opportunity as well. So it's sort of even that playing field, and it made it so open and so exciting for everybody to get involved. Right.
Yes.
So
Absolutely.
thanks for filming them play games. To them comparing themselves with the players in other countries and other continents, thinking and dreaming that they are in that line. It's connecting the world in a new way.
Absolutely.
Well, you just I was just going to ask, you just mentioned, Katarina, by saying that, you just added another element I never thought about till you just said it. Not only do you have that player playing, now you have your friends who know that you're competing. They're coming, they're filming for you. They see you win. Now you get community support. Now people start talking about you. And then I know that there's the online marketing aspect, not only for the player, but Rimpage is doing the same thing for the players as well.
Absolutely. And Katarina's point is a very important point. There was a program in soccer years ago it was a very rich nation in the Middle East who wanted to build the perfect soccer team. And so they sent representatives into Africa to recruit African players. And so they had all these tournaments and things, and there were these different levels where the players would advance and ever higher until there was a selection process, and they would take the best of the best over to their country, and there were opportunities there. Rimpage is different. We don't take the best players from their cities. We want them to stay there because we want to know who's the best in that city. And so you can imagine how Rimpage will bring value to a community rather than stripping it of its best players.
Absolutely. And that's a crucial difference there.
Yes.
To what other leagues are doing, to what is done out there. That is why Rimpage is in fact changing the world.
Right.
Yes.
Right. You build community, about keeping those players there. Well, while you're both describing that, it makes you wonder, it makes you think about how the makeup of the NBA is now, right? International players, playing here. Now they're coming from their countries, they're playing here. So now you have this younger generation knowing that they can make a name for themselves in their own country, staying there. Now they're helping. Right there, staying there. I think this is why it's so important to have this conversation. I would say early, but not early, because you've already begun. But it's so important to share it and have it grow sooner rather than later, so you can build the interest, you can build the excitement, or continue to build the excitement, and getting kids excited, and parents and communities excited about it.
Yes. We have a friend who told us about how in Africa, he said they love football over there, or European soccer. And he said the families will gather together and put their money together so they can pay for a football package, so they can all gather around the TV and watch that. And I'm thinking, what if they could watch their own children play on Rimpage? Sports has a way of uniting us. And when we bring Rimpage to a community, now the parents can see their children play, and they can see their children get recognized for their talents. It really is a powerful force for change.
Now, I'll also add another component I think is value that I see as a coach and coaching players on a team. And you have only so many hours in a day that you can work with kids on their skills. So that means that they're developing certain skills that are beneficial for the team at the moment. But you're like, wow, this is great now. But what's going to happen when you get to high school? Because I coach middle school. What's going to happen in high school? Are you really going to be ready? Well, there's a young man that I have now, that best player I've ever coached in my middle school. He's now reclassed. He's in 8th grade again. But he's a phenomenal ball handler, shooter. It's the aggressiveness in going to the basket is what he's missing. Rimpage would literally change that, because guess what? You have to. You have no choice. And I think it would almost immediately change the way he plays and elevates him and makes him I think he'll make him one of the top potential recruits here in this area, which leads to another question. Rimpage is year round. There's not a season, correct?
There actually is a season, but you can compete year round, because even let's say you don't make it to the postseason, you can still compete. So you can build your rating. So when the season starts up again, you already have a head start. So in terms of being able to compete, year round.
So for those that don't get into the tournament, when they're still competing, their rankings can still go up even though the season is over.
We just have what we call a tournament season, and that's for the city champion, state champion, national champion, international. But those guys who didn't make it to the postseason can still compete.
Okay. So here's my plan. I'm going to sign up, and I'm going to go to the assisted living facility around the corner and get a whole bunch of those guys to sign up, play all of them, get my rating up, and then if I'm high enough, I get in.
Right. Now, here's the thing. Nobody likes to be embarrassed. If you're not competing against challenging competition who's really sharpening your skills, yes, you might get a really high rating. But when you get into the tournaments, your real skill level is going to show, and you're just going to get embarrassed on a bigger stage.
Now, I asked that question so you could tell me that, because there's no benefit to beating lesser talent over and over and over.
I love that. The key is your word that you use is so brilliant. Elevate. Yes, you
Yes.
elevate your game, you elevate your approach, your expectation, what you bring to the table. You elevate the quality that you become. It just elevates you as a human being. And I think we're all on the path of growth here. So it just contributes to one's quality of life in a greater way. And it gives everyone the opportunity, it gives you wide open door where before the talent was suppressed. Really, talent was suppressed, let alone someone with a dream who just wants to play for the fun of it was denied that chance, had no chance, right?
Yes.
I love the way Katarina talks about Rimpage. I created it, but I take notes when she talks about it.
Right. Well, here's again, when you have conversations like this and you get more information, it gives you an opportunity to kind of think a little bit further. Because while you're describing that, Katarina, what came to mind was the development of mental toughness through the
Yes.
process,
Yeah.
resiliency, like you're talking about competing. Hey, I may be moving up in ranks, and then wow, I get, not necessarily blasted, but I lose. And I'm like, all that work, now do I have to start over? This makes you step back and reflect and go, hey, going back to young man you're talking about, maybe every player should be asking somebody, how did I do? What do I need to improve on? Because it may shorten that mental toughness curve, if you will, for those that are competing. Now, one of the things we didn't talk about was the age requirements to compete in Rimpage. Can you share that with us?
Absolutely, yes. Because of our mission, we want to find the best player in every city, every state, every country. We have to cast a wide net, and we have to have a broad stage. And so Rimpage is open to every player, male and female, ages 15 and up. You can be 60 years old and compete on Rimpage. And because you're in control of your schedule, you can play once a month and allow that body to recuperate. Come back and play another one.
You say once a month? You say once a month?
Absolutely.
No, for me, it's once a year.
Now, there's a minimum number of matches you have to play to be eligible for the postseason. So that could just be some recreation for you.
There will be an opportunity for recreation as well. So keep your eyes peeled.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
There are a number of different opportunities that are coming up. I always say, all you have to do is sit down for a few minutes and think about Rimpage, and your mind starts wondering, like, it could do this, it could do this, it could do this. It really is revolutionary. And that's why I say Rimpage is going to be the biggest stage in sports, not just basketball, because I think the whole history of sports is going to turn a corner with this model.
Yes. And more than sports as well. While we're at it, it's going to revolutionize the approach to art, because it is also the game for the privileged. Yes. Not everyone that has talent has a look in.
Right.
To go all the way to the top. So that needs to change. Then education as well. Wherever there are gatekeepers,
that's the key.
Is denied the opportunity to go and elevate itself all the way to the top, it's going to revolutionize that. But it's going to create a path for basketball and for sport first. Yes. So that's where our focus is at the moment.
Yes.
No, I love that. I love this. I love this. And you're right. Both of you are right. The more you talk about it, the more you think about ideas. And I will tell you one that's popping in my mind for our nonprofit. So every summer we do basketball camps.
Yeah.
And 2 years ago we started a summer league where we do a 7-week summer league. And what we do is we play a game on Monday, we practice on Tuesday, play a game on Wednesday, come back the next week, game, practice, game. So the goal is to improve throughout the summer league. Most summer leagues, like the Parks and Rec and the YMCA's, they just practice for a week and they play games straight through, and there's no practice to improve. So I'm thinking, in my wheels turning, of course. I'm thinking, so you have the team summer league. What if you have the Rimpage summer league, where you have the kids now you can play and you're like, hey, I don't want this to be recorded. I just want to play. So it's recreational. And then now during, like, once a week, you have to play a match.
Yeah.
And then, but then the other parts of it, hey, we're just working on everybody's individual skills, but then we compete. So that's just my thought.
Awesome idea. Yeah. Gotta have a game day. and they have
Yes.
several days of training, and then you have that,
Right.
that game day.
Yes.
That's one of the 6 pillars in Rimpage's diamond formula. The first one is you have to develop superior skill. And so that's the time you spend working on various skills. But then that second one is very important one. At some point you have to test those skills in real competition. And that's kind of what I see there in the summer league, is that opportunity to test.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep. That's exactly it. I'm telling you, man, I got to write that down. Yeah, make that note. Yeah, make a
You
note
have
of
it
that. That's
recorded. You have it
yeah.
recorded.
Oh yeah, I got to record. I forgot. I just pulled this back. What did I
There you
say?
go.
Oh yeah, there it is.
There you go.
That's a great idea. No, but again, when I think that's the whole premise behind this too, is when you have the conversations, you want feedback too, because there are always new ways of adding value to it, and
Yes.
bringing the importance to it. And like you were mentioning, Katarina, there's so many other aspects of it besides the athletic component that I think is really important, and the
It is
personal
huge.
growth. Yes, the confidence building and
They're both
showing resilience.
equally important. They go hand in hand. I wouldn't separate them. Yes.
Right. Yes.
Really. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Agreed. Yeah. This is wonderful stuff, man. I'm telling you. Yeah. You guys, y'all know how to one up it. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Right.
Oh, yeah. Very good.
Right. So a little history here, folks. A little history here. So Patrick and I were introduced through a mutual contact. So we have a meeting, phenomenal meeting. So we kind of talk, and then he introduces Katarina and invite me to their networking group, which they have. And one thing leads to another. Katarina interviews me on her podcast and her what's it called, podcast show.
Yes.
And so then Patrick interviews me for his, and now here we are. I have both of them on, and I'm talking to them. So I think that there's some value to that. And I will say, while we're recording this, I think that you two are two amazing people with a mission that are going to change a lot of lives. And the reason I say that, we live in a world now where there's so much division, and there's not enough people coming together for the right reasons. People come together and like, hey, let's collaborate, but they collaborate for monetary gain.
Right.
And when in reality, there's opportunities for monetary gain, but there's a bigger mission beyond money.
Right.
And I always remind people, I'm trying to chase. I don't chase dollars. What I do is I'm trying to change lives.
Yes.
And that's what you two are doing. So I applaud what you're doing with Rimpage. I think it's a phenomenal concept. And yes, we are part of it. My organization is going to be part of it, because our kids are going to, and I'm pushing as many kids to be a part of it. And for the right reason, not just, hey, go play. Right. I share with them what I feel the benefit's going to be for them, not just as a player, but as a person. Because when I'm coaching personal growth and development skills as well as athletic skills. So I think that's why I think Rimpage is going to be a great component.
Yes. And also, Anton, I want to bring another element into this, which is the spiritual element. It connects that as well. So our personal development is inseparable from our spiritual needs. And the more that we feel that we are contributing, the better we become.
Yes.
And the more we contribute, the better the rewards. So no one is overlooked. More united we are. We have no time to stop and look at the differences. We just harmonize and go forward.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that. And for me, I never thought about it that way, but you're absolutely 100% right, because you don't have time to think about the differences. And that's one of the things that's preventing us from progressing the way we should. Yeah. So I have on the screen here, rimpage.club is where you go to sign up. And I would urge every young man or woman age 15 and up, even my age, we still have skills.
Yes.
Our crossover, our crossover takes a little bit longer, but we get there.
You eventually cross over.
And if you do it right, you won't throw your back out.
I love it. I love it.
So you appreciate this. So Sunday at the open gym, when we have an odd number, the kids will ask me if I'm going to play. They say, "Hey, Coach T, you going to play?" And a few weeks ago, I said, "Yeah, I'll play." And one of the girls, she's a junior in high school. She goes, "Coach T, do you have your ankle sleeves on?" And I'm like, yeah. She goes, do you have your knee sleeves on? I say, yeah. She goes, you got your back brace on? I say, yeah. She goes, you can play. True story. Because,
She's
but
looking
here's
out
why.
for you.
Yeah, but here's why I share that with you. If I didn't have any of those on, they would not let me play.
Oh, wow.
They really would not let me play because there's been times like, no, because you get hurt. We don't want to be
Yeah,
responsible for you
yeah.
getting hurt.
Wow.
But they also know that I'll get in trouble with my wife because she finds out I play with me.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's true.
Awesome.
That's true.
Awesome. Love it.
So any last words of encouragement and inspiration that you would like to share with our listeners? Katarina, I'll start with you. And then I have one final question for you both.
Yes.
Long time, it has been too long that
Yeah.
we have been denied the opportunity. So if you have at any point in your life, especially think of your school days, when your heart was in something and you perhaps had a teacher who told you not good enough,
Yeah.
I want you to think what we are doing to the next generation and encourage them to try and to be in the game. Even if they are not destined to be the champion, they're going to be champion in their own life. And they're going to move others when they live from that state of being. That's the only way. And that's the only message I have.
That's a great message. I love that message. And I actually share that one as well. So I totally can relate to that. Thank you for sharing that. Patrick?
That's amazing what she just said. Because children are open, and you never know what one thing you say will stay with them for the rest of their lives. But mine would be, we've become used to a society where it feels like they have to pick you to do something great in your life. And what I would say to everyone is wake up to the reality that now with Rimpage, you have the power, you're empowered to pick yourself to do great things. There's no scouts, no general managers. There's no one to come along and say, hey, I think you'd be a great player on Rimpage. Go to that website, click to join, set up the profile, and start competing. And then just start moving. But that's my message, is pick yourself to do great things. This is a wide open opportunity for you.
Before I get to my question, I just thought about something that I did not ask, and I want you to share, Patrick, because you shared with me something a couple of times, and I think it is so important. You made something to reference about being the best, but not being the best. And how,
Yes.
will you share that and how
Yes.
Rimpage can change that mindset and that
Yes.
opportunity?
I knew when I was in 6th grade that I wanted to be a professional basketball player. And that's what I oriented my life to. I would train and play all the time. And whenever anyone would ask me, what do you want to do when you grow up? I would tell them that I want to go to the NBA. And you could see the look on their face change. And they would all say the same thing, something along the lines of, you have a better chance of winning the lottery, right? You better have a backup plan, right? Because not everyone makes it to the NBA. And so me and my brothers heard that over and over again. But in our little minds, what we thought was, of course, they're not making it because they're not good enough. So we're going to be good enough. And so we worked extra hard to be good enough. And then when my two brothers graduated college, they got an NBA agent and he got workouts for them with various NBA teams. We had a different experience where we learned that being good enough is not always good enough, that there are all these other reasons that players don't make it and don't get handed that opportunity. That was a huge lesson for us to learn. Like, I'm beating your best player, and you mean to tell me I still can't play on the team?
Right.
No.
Yeah.
So with Rimpage, and this is sort of what Katarina was talking about as well, the opportunity that is afforded to you is determined by your talent. That's it. If you're good enough, that's good enough in this league.
Yeah,
That's
that last part I love. I love that. Yeah. As long as you give your best and you've improved and you leave it better than you started.
Yeah.
And I'm a strong believer, if you put forth 100% of your effort, you have already gotten better, regardless of the outcome of the match. And right. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So no, I think that's phenomenal. And your point about, you could be the best, you could be beating the best player, but there's always other aspects of it. That is why I love this too, because there are kids that go through uh, high school or trying out for high school and they don't make the team, and we know that they are
Right.
good enough to be on the team,
Right.
but they are good
Yeah.
enough.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I'll be honest with you, I've had kids in the last couple of years that didn't, and I'm like, you got to be kidding me, because I know some of the
Yeah.
kids that did, and I'm like, yeah, it's either politics or,
Yep.
to your point, it's something that may be, but there's no politics. You
Right.
pick yourself.
Yep.
You are your general manager. You're the coach. You're the player. You're the You might be the trainer,
Yep.
but you're everything. I mean, you are your organization. I mean, you are that organization, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why I say to players, all you have to do is win. That's all you have to do. And all the rewards will continue to flow to you. All you have to do is win. Just be good enough to win.
Mhm.
So real quick before we get to your question, Patrick, have you registered Rimpage to play? Fair question. That's a fair
It is
question.
a fair question. Not yet. I'm not competing yet. However,
You scared of me. Oh, that's it. You scared of me. Oh, you scared of me.
let this podcast be a reference for you. Don't be surprised if you see me on there.
Really?
I have some surprises for basketball. I have 2 surprises for the basketball, and they'll be coming. They'll be coming. But
Awesome. That's great. So here's my question for you both, and I'll start with you, Katarina.
Mhm.
Will you share with us the person or persons that have been most influential in your life and why?
Wow. Wow. I don't think I want to single out one person, but I will tell you that I have had tremendous privilege and luck to be brought up in the family that offered me nothing but unconditional love, and that comes from my parents and from everyone in extended family network. So to be wanted in this world and to be encouraged to be yourself is worth more than I can tell you. So I have exercised the same values and instilled them in my children when they were young, and it has resulted in a lifetime of happiness, lifetime that is fulfilled, irrelevant of how long that life is, because most of those people that I just mentioned to you that have influenced my life are no longer here in this physical existence, and some of them for 30 years, right? But they have made a lasting impact. So if I can reframe this thing of creating a legacy and how important it is, like you're saying, you're creating tomorrow's leaders. Absolutely love that. We need to empower anyone who we come in contact with, but primarily children. We need to leave them in charge. We need to make them believe that they got this. That's
No,
if that's our legacy, that then we've done our job.
no, thank you for sharing that. And like I said, there's no right or wrong. And it absolutely could be more than one person, because we all have many people in our lives that have been
I can
influential.
tell
So
you
thank
some stories, but it's gonna take a while. Yeah.
No, we'll schedule another time, because you've told me that a couple times. I want to hear these stories.
Yes.
So
Yes.
yeah, definitely. Thank you, Patrick. Same for you.
Two people come to mind. The first one is my mom. My mom was an artist. She was an athlete. She was a rebel, very spiritual, devoted to God. And so she introduced me to God, and that's my faith is what directs my life. It's the primary influence in my decision making, and that came from her. She introduced me to basketball. In Oklahoma, we were playing out in the dirt in the stickers, and she introduced me to the game. I saw her and my brother playing, and she gave me the ball. My mom introduced me to my imagination. I was begging her for these toys, and I told her she was an artist. She could pretty much make anything out of anything. And she said, "Patrick, you need to use your imagination." That was the first time I had ever heard that word in my life. I think I was maybe 5 or 6 years old. And I said, "What is an imagination?" I had no clue what it was. And she told me what it was. And now that's pretty much all I do. I live in my imagination. So that, and then she was daring in life. She would say, "I'm going to do this thing." And while you're standing there asking her, how are you going to do it? She's already left to go do it. She was that type of person. She just makes up her mind, and the way I put it is there was no maybe in my mom. It was, I'm doing this, and she would just go do it. So definitely my mom. And the other person is on this call with us right now.
Oh, wow.
Because of her support. Rimpage is the biggest thing I've ever done in my life. Rimpage is global. It's going to impact the whole world. And she's been a big part of helping me get to where I am now.
That's awesome. Wow. You gotta give you some more goosebumps over here. I'm telling you, this is why I love this. And I was going to finish up and then this will tie in. And some people may have been tuning in and they see what this is about, Rimpage basketball, and they're like, well, what does that have to do with developing tomorrow's leaders? I know after hearing all this, you understand how this is going to be developing tomorrow's leaders. There's so many different variables to Rimpage. I think there's so many valuable lessons to be taught and learned.
Yes.
And I think that this is an undertaking that has been long in coming. And I applaud you both for what you're doing. And not only that, but the amount of energy, effort, time that you're putting into it. I've been following on social media. I'm like, my freaking thumb is sore from all liking all these posts and watching some of these matches.
I appreciate you, Andrew.
Yeah, but it's important because I think the support is how it's going to grow.
Yeah.
A lot of times people start something like, hey, I'm behind you, but they're not really behind you. So I will tell you, I support this 100%. And like I said, our kids are going to be a part of it. And I look forward to seeing the journey grow. And I thank you both for your time and really appreciate you.
Thank you so much, Antoine.
My pleasure. I'm Coach T, and as always, I am here to educate, support, and inspire the next generation of leaders. Until the next episode, take care.
Statistically, lack of personal growth skills are preventing preteens and teens from being successful. Our school systems are not teaching these essential life skills. They need guidance in order to take charge of their future. Without the proper education, support, inspiration, and guidance, preteens and teens will continue to lack the skills necessary for success. Coach T's S.E.A of Success Academy provides preteens and teens with the skills and support they need to be successful in life. We offer educational, supportive, and inspirational courses that will help them in the process of personal growth. Visit CoachTsCorner.com to find out more.